This is an urgent warning for everybody in the crypto community. There's a couple of things that are going down right now that are really not good. No, they are very bad. And at first, I made a video about it, laughing a little bit and not taking it too serious, but things are starting to change. And this is a serious urgent video. It's not a joke. So Digital Asset News, one of the guys I very much love and respect, he just put up over on Twitter this update from Voyager, and it reads, "Dear Robbie, as you may have seen, today we made the difficult decision to temporarily suspend trading, deposits, withdrawals, and loyalty rewards. Your debit card will stop working as a result of this change, and therefore you'll need to stop any direct deposits currently going into the account, connect to your debit card, yada yada yada." This on its own might not look like a big deal, but if we look back at the Celsius situation, things are starting to get a whole much more bad. This is because they're basically saying, hey, you got all your money on our website, that's all cool, but we're trying to not let you take it out. Even though you put the money on here and you have the right to it fair and square, we're deciding that you cannot withdraw it because we might not be able to handle it. And again, that's where the entire situation about Celsius came from. We got Three Arrows Capital. They're all basically in the same corridor of either creating some trouble for other platforms or given this narrative that you cannot fully trust exchanges, or rather, you cannot rely on them to always be able to pay you back. There's one fun thing which I actually saw a little while ago, and that was Coinbase. They let go of a statement where somebody basically asked, hey Coinbase, what if you were to go bankrupt? And then apparently, and take this with a grain of salt, they replied that if we were to go bankrupt, your money that's on their platform would go to the debt collectors that basically deserve it the most. They're saying they're not trying to go bankrupt just quite yet, but that would happen in case. Now, you guys probably know what a bank run is by now, right? It's where everybody walks up or runs to the bank to withdraw their money, and because a bank works like this, they, for example, get deposited $1 billion with the idea that $1 million will be withdrawn every single day. So they invest $1 billion in a lot of different sectors with different terms in liquidity. So that might mean that they get $1 million worth of cash flow, or maybe let's say $6 million worth of cash flow, so we have some leeway there, to pay back investors that would ever want to withdraw, which again will most likely just be 1 million, but they have some outlier capital up to, let's say, 6 million or so, 6 times, but I'm guessing 10 times or so the normal amount. But what happens if all of a sudden, out of the $1 billion deposited, people want to get back $800 million? Well, they might have the money or they might not. And where I can say they might not has to do with the fact that if you're investing into something, sometimes the value of that is lower than where people deposited it at. So let's say that this fund, for example, bought Bitcoin with the USDT that was actually deposited onto the platform. It could be that the value of their assets under management are now lower than the actual loans, sort of, that they have out to all of us. And here, this bank created. Australian bank collapses with tens of thousands of customers told to withdraw. Oh, sorry guys, actually it saes thousands of customers told to withdraw funds immediately before it closes all accounts on Tuesday. Now again, I'm not sure how real this is. It's the Daily Mail though, but it puts a certain narrative on the table. As you guys might also know by now, there's more exchanges like this, and Sam Bankman-Fried, who right now is in negotiations with BlockFi, here's that little deal. FTX reaches a deal with BlockFi, as BlockFi was basically going through the same trouble as Voyager. Cryptocurrency exchange FTX is close to deal with BlockFi that values the troubled lender at up to $680 million. BlockFi's valuation after its most recent Series D in March closed at about $3 billion, but the deal includes a $400 million credit line as well as an option for FTX to acquire BlockFi at a variable price of up to $240 million, depending on performance triggers. In a release, BlockFi said the deal, together with the other potential consideration, represents a total valuation of or total value of up to $680 million. That was already after FTX extended a $250 million line of credit to BlockFi after the firm announced it had liquidated a large client, likely to be financially struggling crypto fund Three Arrows Capital, which was both heavily invested into the equity into BlockFi and borrowed from its co-fers. And again, this is also to give you guys an example, right? BlockFi suffered a total of $80 million in losses, twice what Three Arrows borrowed from the firm on June 7th. You gotta understand as to why some firms then become illiquid, for example. Crypto market volatility, particularly market events related to Celsius and Three Arrows Capital, had negative impact on BlockFi. The Celsius news on June 12 started an uptick in client withdrawals from BlockFi's platform, despite us having no exposure to them. And again, the more this happens, the more it continues on. I have, I think, 4 other platforms that have also had the same trouble, where they either stopped deposit and withdrawals or something of the sort, stopped trading altogether. I don't have the names right now, but if you type in crypto platform stops withdrawals, you most likely find 3 or 4 other ones that I now am forgetting. But let's let the past in the past. What other platforms are having this halt right now? I don't think it matters too much because for those you're already too late. It's about what you can do right now to prevent your money from getting locked up. And this again is a freaking urgent video, all right? I made a cover about this like 4 or 5 days ago, but now I'm rethinking it. With the news of this bank that just came out in Australia, and the news that Voyager's now stopping everything, I'm like, okay, it's time to go, not bank run panic mode, but it's time to really take your money off now. And sometimes I'm a hypocrite, where I said before, I have a lot of money over on Bybit and Binance because I trust those guys. Again, I've met those people in real life. I know they're good peoples. That doesn't mean they're gonna always have my money though. And again, a lot of these people are very friendly as long as you either make them money or you have your money with them, or I guess they're just your friends. But that doesn't mean that they're trustworthy in a certain sense, right? What I mean with that is, even though I like these platforms so much, and for me, it is very easy to just keep my money on there to trade with, I should also take some steps myself to kind of de-risk. Again, if you're getting some yield somewhere and it is a good equation for yourself, you calculate it and it is worth it. There's a ladybug over there. He's not, oh yeah, he flew away. I wanted to say he's not trying to get out, but he's out now. Yeah, if you're getting all the yield and stuff and you calculate it properly, it's all good. But I'm just talking about dormant funds, all right? Don't use an exchange different from an exchange wallet. For example, the Coinbase wallet, as long as you have control over your own keys, it's fine. But what Sam Bankman-Fried, founder of FTX, just said was, he says more exchanges will fail. And there are companies that are basically too far gone. The thing is, you're not seeing it just quite yet, but a lot of these companies are in a ton of trouble. He warns that some exchanges are already secretly insolvent. Again, realize this. They're not trying to showcase it to you guys just quite yet, but they are. And the thing is, for a lot of these funds, it is most likely the case that even though, no, let me explain it differently. A lot of exchanges are most likely in this exact scenario. Listen carefully, all right? You guys and I deposited $350 million. They invested it in a lot of different things. Right now, the valuation is $270 million. To give you guys an example. They can't pay you back. They can't pay you back. They have a $90 million, I think, deficit on that one, as an example. And that is because they made the wrong investments. Maybe potentially, for example, in UST with Luna, they wanted to get a 20% return every single year. And now, boom, all of a sudden, people want to withdraw. It is not going to be a problem as long as people trust the system. It's the same thing for the banking realm if we're discluding bailouts. But if we're just talking about these companies standing on their own, they're going to be most likely completely fine as long as people don't panic and want their money out. But it's actually the same as a Ponzi scheme. It works until all of a sudden everybody wants to get their money out or it gets exposed from the inside. And I guess FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried is kind of doing this exposing from the inside and saying, well, you better take your money out because these guys aren't trustworthy. And that, in a certain sense, actually messes up the entire space more, but from a certain other perspective, it's the most fair option out there. It says right here is the richest person in crypto. I highly doubt that, by the way. I'm guessing CZ is being forgotten. But you can also start to see how these things can really pile up. 3 Arrows Capital borrowed large sums from Voyager. Voyager might be connected to some other fund in that way, shape, or form, and so it can just go on a freaking crazy collapse spree, which is what you very often see in recessions in the traditional market in that sense, right? But in crypto, it's right now one of the first times that we're seeing stuff like this. Now, one thing I should also make clear is that I personally don't think that some of these behemoths like a Coinbase, a Binance, a Bybit, or even Kraken are actually in a lot of trouble, mostly because they are this huge. But it's more so about the second tier exchanges, or maybe even third tier exchanges, the ones that are a little bit lower up on this ranking. Now, I don't want to make this video too long. I just want to keep it to the point. All I'm trying to say is take your money off exchanges now that you still have the chance, because at some point or another, you might have wished you did. I've actually been in this exact same scenario a couple of times before. I speak from experience, because what happened to me is actually a hack, I guess it's like a scam. It was with Cryptopia. I personally call it Craptopia. I had all my ETN and Dogecoin and stuff on there, which at the time weren't worth that much. But if, for example, look at the Dogecoin's value today, it is crazy, all right? I was thinking, oh, it's just maybe a couple $1,000s, but right now it would have been potentially a couple $100,000. I think, funny enough, that it was actually a couple $1 million, but I don't quite remember. I've written it down somewhere, but it's not in front of me right now. It's also starting to get freaking dark. You guys are seeing it? All right, got myself some additional light. My headset is messing up now, though. Whatever. You guys get the idea, right? Take off your money from the freaking exchanges if you can, and if you can't, have a good reason for it, or stick to the behemoths that have a lower chance of going down. It's the same thing for banks, right? The bigger the bank, the smaller the chance to fail, but the moment that it does fail, the harder the hit is going to be as well, for the crypto space in this sense, or for the banking, for the entire world. Yeah, that was it for right now. I wanted to make a video about ISO, about these cryptos, and I had a full video planned right here about everything I wanted to talk about, but I guess I'll skip that for a different video later. This is way more important. I'm starting to notice it's too urgent to let go. Make sure you take action right now. Don't forget it. And again, I have a trading portfolio. I don't take any money out. I'll keep it on there because I'm using that to make my money. Gonna keep it on there. I'm talking about, I have, for example, let's say hypothetically speaking, I have a third tier exchange. I'm not gonna name any names right now. I have a third tier exchange, one that's not really known. CoinJet. I'm not sure if that's something. And I have $10,000 there. Maybe I'm thinking, whatever, I'm gonna keep it on there. No. If it's on a Binance, I'm not going to touch that most likely. My Bybit, I'm not going to touch that most likely. But those funds that are on exchanges that I don't fully trust, I'm going to take it all out. I'm going to take it all and put it into my ledger. And that's what I'm making the video for. So hopefully you guys don't get the wrong narrative. I'm not going to touch my trading funds or so because that would be kind of stupid. I'm all of a sudden going to be overly safe and not making money anymore. But I'm touching the money that's dormant, that is basically at risk for nothing. That was it for right now. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. See ya.